week we've been visited by Professor Michael Jones from Macquarie University in Sydney, and lucky to have Mike here with me this morning. Can you give us a bit of a summary of what your research is about and what it's up to at the moment then, please?
Sure. If I look back 10 years, I think my research and most research in the rural medical workforce area was about structural issues. It was about finding the right infrastructure to encourage doctors to come and work in rural and remote locations. It was about finding the right kind of incentives, financial and otherwise, to encourage them to leave cities and come and work in rural areas. And those things are important. I don't deny the importance of having the right infrastructure, having the right remuneration type arrangements for doctors to come and work in rural locations. But I think there is more to it. I think that to only consider the structural issues makes some implicit assumptions. One of those is that you've got a pool of doctors sitting in the city who are just waiting for the opportunity to come and work in rural areas if the infrastructure is right, if the finances are right, and so on. And the second assumption is that all that pool of people are appropriate to come and work in rural areas, that they're all the right kind of temperament, the right kind of interest, the right sort of social fabric type people. In contrast, I was really struck about 10 or so years ago. I was on a project, I think it was out in West New South Wales, with a rural GP that involved interviewing a whole bunch of GPs. And after one interview, we were just standing around chatting, and this guy said to me, Mike, he said, there are really three kinds of rural GPs. There's the missionaries, the mavericks, and the madmen. And I thought, taking the tongue-in-cheek comment aside a little bit, that sounded like a typology, like a kind of person, if you like. And that got me thinking about, well, what about a person would make them want to become a rural doctor? And also, what would make them thrive as a rural doctor in that kind of location? So that typology, I thought, could be about personality, the right kind of personality profile for a rural location. It could be about motivations. It could be about a whole bunch of things about the individual person. And that's really what got me on my current dominant area of workforce research is, what is it about the individual that makes them make that choice to come and work in a rural location as opposed to a city practice, which is quite convenient. That got me thinking about the rural workforce recruitment problem as being an example of a career choice. So individuals make career choices, not systems. Building infrastructure doesn't by itself make the choice. Some doctor has to actually decide to move from a city to a country town or a quite remote location. So it turns out that if you do some research in the theories of organisational psychology, there are some good models of career choice that might give us some structure to guide our research into what makes individuals make that choice. So I'm very interested in programs which look at the individual person, their internal motivations and their reaction to the external environment that might persuade them to come and work in a rural area or not. And I think that's quite exciting for two reasons. One is that we can improve the supply of rural doctors by understanding what motivates them to make that choice and then presenting the right information, presenting the right circumstances to them. But also we can encourage people who are the right kind of person to come and work in rural areas. And we know that country towns quite proudly have a different culture, a different sort of social fabric. And so to expect every medical practitioner who is raised, studied and has worked in cities to be equally likely to thrive in that kind of culture is just not realistic. So I think the second benefit of this research is that we will not just get more doctors, we'll get more doctors who are likely to thrive in that environment, and in so doing that will be good for them, but also for the communities which they serve.
Well, terrific. Well, thanks for your time again this week, Mike, and for your interview this morning, and safe travels, and we look forward to your next visit.
My pleasure, Lee, and thanks for having me.